stand for the national anthems. First, the national anthem of Sweden. And now, the national anthem of Belgium.
And you've got to get over halfway within 12 seconds and then score within 40 seconds. To score a point, you go through the cones at the end of the goal line with the ball in your lap, ball in control. It is full-on chair contact. You're allowed to hit the chairs, but you're not allowed to hit the player. and that's where you may see some people go to the bin if they get a bit of body contact in there. Other than that, bounce the ball once every 10 seconds or pass it once every 10 seconds. And other than that, there's a whole lot of technical and a lot of rules to pick up, but that's the gist.
And I think people watching for the first time are going to be amazed at how brutal it is.
Definitely, that's the first thing people notice is the hits and the crashes and the bangs. And then we have tip-off, so the game's underway.
So this is the moment we've all been waiting for, the start of the wheelchair rugby. Sweden in yellow, Belgium in red.
Sweden have got first possession, so the way it goes is possession will switch between the teams each quarter, 4 quarters to play out, and Sweden get the first touch, so they'll get the first score as well.
So he has to get the ball over the line between those 2 cones, and the bit in front is called the key, which is like the sort of goal area, isn't it?
The key will come into play with the defence. As a defensive team, you're only allowed 3 players in the key. So at the moment they're playing a full court press, the Swedish team. But later in the game, no doubt we'll see some key defence as well.
And obviously the rule with the key is so that you can't just put a barrier of 4 people across, like the Thames barrier.
Yeah, there'll be a little gap in there. They're hard to find, but there's little alleys to find once the key defence goes into place. And there's already been a turnover. Sweden about to go 2 up. So a turnover can, it can pretty quickly mean a game in the really tight games. So to get one that early, Sweden have showed their dominance early on.
Thomas Hjert getting the score there for Sweden. Sweden leading 2-0. So we play 8 minutes, and then we have a break, and there's 4 quarters of 8 minutes each.
It's 8 minutes stop clock, so the quarters go longer than 8 minutes. The game can go for about an hour and a half, but running time is 32 minutes, so 4 quarters, 8 minutes.
Lars Mertens for Belgium there.
Lars will be one of the standout players for Belgium. A lot of function. He actually has cerebral palsy. Most of the players in the game have spinal cord injury, but Lars is different there with cerebral palsy. And going for the ball.
Nearly got pulled over backwards there.
Yeah, a lot of pretty tight there, just trying to get the ball, but he touched the body, and that's why we go to the bin. And he'll be in the bin for up to a minute or until the other team scores.
So it's like the sin bin in rugby.
Exactly.
You just call it the bin. I was a bit worried they were going to put him in a bin. Recycle him.
Not physically in the bin, but in the sin bin.
So
and there's a few reasons a player can do that, but the main one you'll see is the hands foul, where he, with his hands or his body, he contacts another player.
So it's 4 against 3 for the time being. And he very coolly went over the line there.
Just taking his time. I think they were trying to just trap that main playmaker Lars in the bin while he was there. And here's Ronnie. Ronnie is 46 years old. He has been in the sport for a long time and is one of the best players in the world for a long time. Only 1.5 in classification terms, but plays above his class. And what I mean by that is he sort of does better than what people expect him often.
And we're picking up the noise of the hits very, very easily. That's a good move from Belgium.
Middle against middle with the hits, it definitely makes a lot of noise. And the chairs do take a lot of hits. They need a lot of welding and fixing. You'll see a few tyres blown during the game, no doubt.
Ronald Verhagen scoring there for Belgium, so it's 3-2. Now they're allowed to hit each other with the chairs, but you can't come in from behind with a hit.
Again, yeah, there's rules with hitting. So in front of the axle is the safe area to hit. And if you hit someone behind the axle, you spin them pretty easily, and it can be pretty dangerous. People fall out. You just lose complete control of the chair. It doesn't matter how good you are or how strong you are. You can't control when someone spins you. It's quite a dirty play, and that'll be another reason someone will go to the bin. And if the referee deems it dangerous, it can be a flagrant foul, and you can be there even longer.
Mikhail Norlin getting the goal there. They're called goals, aren't they? And even though it's rugby, it's not tries. They are goals.
It is a goal. It is a goal. So rugby in name, but I guess taken a lot of rules taken from a lot of different sports.
Yeah, I think handball. There's bits of handball, bits of rugby, bits of ice hockey. I was reading as well. Yeah,
with its roots in North America, North America and Canada. I guess a lot of ice hockey, basketball. Definitely basketball to get over half and that. But then, of course, watching it, sometimes I see elements of more of the Commonwealth sports. A bit of netball in there, passing into space, creating space.
Well, it's a great crowd here, and they're really enjoying this. 4-3 to Sweden at the moment. And it's Norlin again, who scored the last one, breaking away, but he's just blocked by a couple of Belgians there. But a man on the overlap. And, okay, what's the infringement there?
Just again, going for that ball and hit his arm. So it became a penalty goal. The ref could see that If it didn't happen, the player would have scored. So just to keep the game flowing, he called penalty goal. And that's actually a Kiwi ref in there, Phil Washbourne. Just called the out of court, so another turnover to Sweden.
Good to see a Kiwi involved in the tournament.
Always good to see the Kiwis.
You guys didn't qualify this time.
No, we didn't. Pretty gutting, really, going from the heights of Athens where we got the gold and went into Beijing medal favourites and just had a shocker, really. Lost their first 2 games and came out 5th. And this time around couldn't even qualify. So dark days for New Zealand Wheelchair Rugby. But we've got some young guys coming through, so there's hope they will pull back together and bounce back from this.
But at least you've got one of the officials here this time, and we've got one of the expert summarisers in the commentary booth.
Yeah, three of the team members managed to get over here one way or another. I got over here on the media ticket. Cameron Leslie is also a swimmer, Paralympic swimmer, so he's been over here and won a gold medal and broke a Paralympic record, a world record actually. And our coach, Peter Martin, is a track and field athlete, so he's here as well. So between the 3 of us, we're scoping out the teams and seeing what we can do to get back on top.
So 5-3 still to Sweden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Close call there. Just think the player wasn't allowed on court. Ronnie Verhagen here to get the ball on again and get play underway.
Now, bearing in mind it was a sport invented for people with limited arm function, fracture wheelchair basketball. I mean, they have obviously a lot of need quite a bit of use of their arms to be able to get the chairs as dexterous as that, moving and spinning. It's
deceptive. Some of the guys here, their triceps don't even work. If you look at number 3 there for Sweden, Becky Kettlebuter's, his triceps won't even work as a 0.5, as a low pointer. The high point players, the more guys with more function, they'll have full arms, the full shoulders, triceps, biceps, but limited hand function. So they use things like gloves and tack on their gloves to hold the ball. But yeah, a lot of people don't get it until they get into the sport. They realise how little function some of the guys have.
So Sweden still leading 5-3. Belgium not able to find a way through at the moment.
And it's really good defence there to be able to get in front.
And there's a limited amount of time that they've got to score the goal before they have to then give the ball up.
And it's counting down 4, 3, 2. He's not going to get there, is he? Just got there on the buzzer. 40 seconds to get from goal to goal to get a score. So again, like basketball, you got the shot clock.
Peter Jenin 5-4 then to Sweden, and Belgium are hanging in there.
They are. They're staying with Sweden.
Sandberg, a long ball upfield.
And he's a great player. You'll see him a lot in the game. That's uncharacteristic, actually, from Toby Sandberg. He's pretty sharp with his passes, but that one went astray and picked up straight away by Lars.
Now I'm going to cheer for Sweden because from a commentator's point of view, they're very helpful. They've got their names on the shirts, whereas the Belgians just have Belgium. I have to keep looking down at my notes to see who's who.
Well, I back Belgium. I've known the Belgian guys for a long time. Bob, the player coach, and Luddy on the sideline. Hopefully we'll see a bit of him as well. They've been there since, they're back in 2002 when I was first on the scene. So
it's 5-all. Who are the strong countries in the world then?
The Yanks are definitely the favourite. They've won all the majors that have ever been, bar 2. We won in Athens, and Canada won world champs in Sweden in 2002. Other than that, the Yanks have taken out all the other majors. And they're just...
why are they so strong?
Mainly their league. They have a really strong league, a lot of depth. They can just throw line-up after line-up. And, just to make the US team is such a mission for those players, whereas I guess in New Zealand, we're sort of few and far between on the players, so we have a different sort of philosophy. We try and G each other up and push each other to get better and get on the team, whereas they're trying to knock each other off just to make the team.
So Sweden really putting a wall across their goal there.
This is the key defence we were talking about earlier. So 3 Swedish defence players in the key area, the sort of rectangle orange part of the court.
And can they stay there as long as they want?
Yeah, they can stay in there as long as they want. So they'll try and run down that 40 seconds.
We saw the Belgium attacker there literally just trying to barge his way through.
Yep. So you'll look, probably they'll get 2 players on the edges, try and spread the key out to create a gap, and Lars will go for the goal. Toby in there trying to go for the ball, but hit his hand, and that's another penalty goal.
So if the ball hits the defender's hand, then penalty goal, and it's quite a good rule. It keeps the game flowing.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep it going.
But instantly, straight up the other end, Sweden score.
And this is a bit of a recent change to the Sweden team. Janssen here has actually dropped the point in classification. So each player is classified on how much function they have, but it can change. You can protest your own classification, or you can protest another player's classification. In this chance, in this situation, Janssen has dropped half point, which means a lot in terms of combinations they can run.
Lars Mertens, 7-6 then to Belgium.
Lars sits so tall as well. He's a lot of these guys with spinal cord injuries, they don't have the trunk function to be able to control themselves and have the balance, so they sit really low. Lars, with different disabilities, sits high in his chair and can really intercept that ball and go for the ball well.
And I was reading up about the design of the chairs, and you have to have the ball so that it's visible above the edge of the chair. It can't be sort of hidden almost down in the chair. A
lot of rules and regulations around the chairs. They've tightened up as well. I think 2002 was where they really made it really strict about what you could and couldn't have. Before that, they were becoming quite ridiculous with the sort of Mad Max big ball bars, and they made some sort of tighter restrictions on what you can have. But you'll see the differences between the low point chairs and the high point chairs. The high point chairs are quite, they're made to get through gaps, where the other ones are more defensive and stop players or slow them down at least.
So that equaliser from Tobias Sandberg ties it all up at 7-7.
Belgium have really come back.
You surprised at how level it is?
After the start Sweden got, I thought it may blow out pretty quick, but looks like Belgium just kept their head. Bob Van Acker on the side, he's a wise man, and obviously Lars here has got the passion. It's Benoit, the Swedish coach, former Canadian coach. Also coached me when I was playing for Quebec for a season.
And where do you play now?
Play for Auckland in New Zealand, but with wheelchair rugby, that's the great thing. You get to play around the world. I've done so much travelling and met so many great guys around the world. I play for Alabama in the States, and that's a lot of players will do that from international teams. As I said before, the US league is so strong, and each US team has allowed one international player on their roster.
8-8 then, some Belgian fans in the crowd. Lots of face painting going on at the London 2012 games.
And the crowds have been phenomenal. And just around Olympic Park, you see a number of people coming through. For this to happen at the Paralympic Games, for all the sports to be sold out, is unprecedented. And it's phenomenal as an athlete to be there and have a crowd like this.
Well, that's 9-8 to Sweden. The capacity of the Olympic Stadium where the athletics is 80,000, but they reckon that on most days of the Paralympic Games there's about 190,000 people on the Olympic Park.
That's brilliant.
Coming through, and you know this arena can hold 10,000 when it's full, and I'll tell you what, it looks like there's quite a few there. They're certainly enjoying their first taste of wheelchair rugby. It's the opening day of the wheelchair rugby tournament, and it's one of the most popular events in the Paralympics, and I don't know if that's why they held it back, just to keep the excitement going.
Maybe the finals on the closing ceremony day, so really building to a crescendo at the end of the games.
And it's nicknamed Murder Ball, which I think says a lot about it. That's what the Canadians called it when they invented it, Murder Ball, and still a lot of people refer to this as Murder Ball.
It was the original name, and I think they were looking for a more PC name, so they came up with rugby, which is why the rules are quite different to the sport of rugby in terms of able-bodied rugby, but I guess the name itself fits in with the spirit of the game that was played. And there's a turnover. Went to strip the ball off his lap, so that's one time it paid off. He went for the ball, didn't hit the body, managed to go for the ball, hit it off the lap, loose ball, and it was picked up by Sweden.
Ullman of Sweden, 10-8. No team has been more than 2 points ahead at any point. And it's usually been Sweden who've just been ahead, but Belgium keep coming back.
And that was the coach just passed off to Lars, Bob Van Acker. He's a player coach for this team.
One turnover each at the moment, 10-9 now to Sweden.
Lars, he's fresh off a season over in the States. He's been playing for the Portland Pounders over there. So getting that experience, other teams, other players, and learning a bit more about the game.
And music's been a big thing at London 2012. In between the little bits of action, we heard little bits of music. We just heard some Nirvana there. And Sweden back into a 2-point lead.
The other great thing I've seen at different venues is the ground announcers are just getting the crowds going and really geeing them up and getting the Mexican waves going and all that sort of stuff. It's been brilliant.
Have you been in the Mexican wave yet?
No, I've been heading down to the media pit.
Oh. You have to be sensible when you're in the media pit.
Yes,
I've been in the stadium when I haven't been commentating, and I've just been watching, and the Mexican waves are great. But yesterday I was watching the blind football, the five-a-side, and there the announcer in the arena asks the crowd to keep quiet, because obviously everyone was very excited. I was watching the Great Britain game against Iran, and it was very, very loud, and the players need to hear the little rattle that's in the ball, because obviously they're blind. So
it'll be quite an eerie sort of atmosphere.
It was very strange, and then getting one back there for Belgium, 11-10. I mean, with the noise in the arena here compared to what it was yesterday when I was watching the blind football, and then when they have the timeout, then everyone goes mad, and it was shouting Team GB, and the music comes on, and goodness knows how they would hear the coach in the timeout.
I did definitely notice that in Beijing. It was very hard to hear people on court. And the crowds there weren't in touch. I mean, they're great, but not a touch on the GB crowds here, so it must be very hard for the players.
Thomas here, very cool when he scores a try. 12-10, a goal, sorry. 12-10 to Sweden against Belgium.
We just got a shot of Benoit, the Swedish coach there. He's pretty passionate as coach. We might get to see some of his antics later on if it gets too close. Just gets over halfway. That 12 seconds to get over half. It's a big. That's why they do the full court press most of the game. We've seen a little bit of the key defense so far, but mainly the full court press.
Bob Banaka for Belgium. 12-11. Sweden can't extend that lead to any more than 2 points at any point in the game. And we've got 44.4 seconds to go in this first quarter of this game between Belgium and Sweden at the London 2012 Paralympic Games.
What you might see here is an interesting tactic. As it gets to the end of the quarter, they try and slow it down so that they score last. As I said, with the tip, it goes turnabout after that, who starts the quarter. So if you score last at the end of the quarter and score first at the end of the next quarter, it's like it going up with an extra point. So here they're just holding it up, and they'll try and score right on the buzzer.
So they've got 18 seconds to get over that line. Ullman for Sweden. Jansson's with him. And here comes the ball, and that's the man that scores them, Thomas Hjert. And again, he's just waiting.
Running down their clock. 7 seconds. They can score within 7 seconds. 7 isn't too bad. So Belgium will go for a full court play here, trying to score quickly. It's going to be tight, and with that sort of inbound, probably not going to make it straight away.
No, he's going to be timed out.
No, you want a long pass on that. You need a long pass, someone up court.
So that's the end of the quarter. They'll have a break, and then we'll be back very shortly.
So Sweden won the tip-off. It'll be Belgian ball when we come back.
And look at the crowd there. Fantastic crowd we've got.
Just waiting to see if there's any quarter-time entertainment. 2 minutes for quarter-time, so it looks like it's just enough time to get the mops out and clear down the floor.
And just explain the format of the competition. I think we've got 8 teams in 2 pools of 4.
Yep, that's right. Then we go through to the finals after that, and through to the final match on the closing ceremony day.
So has the game gone pretty much as you'd expected it to have gone in that first quarter?
Yeah, it's pretty close. I still think Sweden's going to get up. I think they're going to start pulling out, and by the third and fourth, there'll be a bit more of a comfortable gap. And after this first quarter, maybe not a huge blowout like it could have been after they sort of got up quickly. I'm still expecting, Sweden are just well coached. They've got some really solid players there. Definitely PJ and Toby. They're a tough team. They got 4th and world champs 2 years ago.
Now, if you have any questions for Dan about wheelchair rugby, then go to our Facebook group and you can post your questions there, and you'll answer anything, Dan, as long as it's not too personal, as long as it's about wheelchair rugby. Our Facebook group is Paralympic Games on Facebook.com, and also on Twitter we're at Paralympic. So if you have any questions about what you're seeing here, it's for many people it'll be the first time they've ever seen the sport. Very stylishly dressed Swedes there, a Viking helmet and a sort of jester's hat. Very colourful.
Yeah, definitely any questions about the sport, about the rules. Some of the rules can be confusing, I think, around the classification, so definitely anything people want to know.
Now, what people will have noticed just there was that there's a woman in the Belgian team.
There is, so it's wheelchair rugby is for males and females, and it's actually been encouraged to get more females into the sport. They've allowed, you can have a higher number in terms of your classification on court if you have a female on court. So usually it's 8 points on court, spread across the 4 players. Each player is given a classification depending on their amount of function. So with the woman on there, you're allowed to go up to 8.5 points.
I'll just explain the how many points. You know, the total is 8, but say someone who is 0.5, they would be have less function.
Yeah, exactly. So the lower the number, the lower the function. So you look at some of the main players there. Lars, the guy who sits really tall there, number 8 for Belgium. He's a 3-5. Bob with the ball is a 2-5. Bob Vanacker. Then Ronnie there, number 9. He's a 1-5. As I said earlier, often plays above his points. He plays as a 2-pointer. He carries the ball a lot. Those lower point players, you don't really want to carry the ball because they haven't got the function to control and get the pass away quickly.
And the classification is on the level of impairment. I mean, for someone who's a 0.5, what would be their level of disability?
Usually don't have triceps, limited hand function for a 0.5. To get a points value, you go through quite a process. You're assessed by a team of doctors, physios, and they grade your muscle function, look at your play on court, and then they'll give you a number to represent, based on the classification schedule from 0.5 to 3.5, going up in 0.5 increments.
And what's your number?
I'm a 3, so I have really good hand function, no trunk muscles, no abs, which a lot of people, I guess, don't realise when they see people rolling around the court, because you're strapped in, so you have that support there, but I don't have any balance of my own. But full shoulders, full triceps, full biceps.
Now we're seeing a bit of a new wheel going on there, is it?
Yeah, there must have been a puncture, so quick change. You're allowed up to a minute for equipment. So the player would have just put his hands up, made the signal to the ref. I've got an equipment failure, the ref stops the game. Quick minute, change the wheel, back into action.
Most of the Belgians, I've noticed, have the Belgian flag sort of face painted onto their shoulders, apart from one guy who's got the long sleeve shirt and he's got it on his knees.
Yeah, a bit of inventive work there from Bob Vanacker. He's also got it on his grey bar and on his chair. So it's going to be tight for Lars to get through. He's going to squeeze through, and he may hit that cone. If he hits the cone, it's not a goal, and it's not a goal. He's got to get in between the cones to score the goal. 2 wheels over the line, and got the first one, but couldn't get the second one before he hit the cone.
So if he touches the cone, is that end of play?
Yeah, that's called out of court. One thing we haven't seen yet is anyone hit the deck. So if you hit someone, if you can line someone up, make them fall out of their chair, that could be a good way to get a turnover.
And just for someone who's watching this sport at these games for the first time, it seems to me that Belgium really struggle to get their points, but then they don't get back quickly enough, and Sweden instantly seem to score.
Yeah, Belgium are just, I guess they're one of those balanced lineups. They have to use each player to get over court, so they are struggling a bit to get over halfway. And Sweden just seems to have a bit more of an ease at getting over halfway at the moment. And that will catch up with them. I think Belgium will get worn down more and more as the game goes on, just having to force their way over half every game, every point.
Are you a fan of the music that's played intermittently?
As a player?
Yeah. Do you like that? I mean, because as a fan, I think the fans love it, don't they? It lifts the crowd. But when you're doing this, I mean, you can't talk to your colleagues and things. Does it annoy you?
Yeah, it does G you up. It's a bit of both. It Gs you up and get into it. The atmosphere at these sort of games is brilliant. But it can be hard to hear what the hell's going on between the players and the coach. So yeah, a lot of the time, we're training in that just empty gyms, and you get really good communication going. Communication is such a huge part of the game. And then you go into these environments, and to prepare for that is really hard. So these early games are maybe, the guys just getting used to the crowd and the environment. There may be some wayward passes.
So 15-12 Sweden lead. This is the largest lead they've had so far.
And with the ball, so looking to go up, it should be a 4-point lead here pretty soon.
So good defending from Belgium. They're just blocking the man in. But of course, if 3 people block 1 person in, it does mean that the ball, if it's thrown out, they're going to be very short at the back.
Yeah, usually you often have one main playmaker in the team, so you do have to put a lot of heat on him, try and get him to get rid of the ball. Unless you come up a team like the Americans, they often have 2 or 3 guys in the team that can just carry it just as well as the other. But with this, as you can see, they've locked up Lars. They're trying to keep him away from getting the ball. And Ronnie coming through and getting the offload.
So they've identified him as the playmaker, and they're just trying to block him off.
Definitely, Lars is the main man for the Belgium team. And you'll see with the Belgium team, they mainly keep the main guys on for the majority of the game, whereas Sweden, Ben Myers really developed a lot of lineups within the team, so he'll keep throwing different lineups at the Flemish side.
Lars coming back there to block off Thomas Hjert, who's been scoring all the points.
And they're going to fall back into the key, so a bit of key defense here, but not quick enough. So easy corner goal there.
Hjert scores a goal again. We nearly had the first person out their chair there with a bit of a head-on collision.
A bit of luck, won't be too far away. It's a fun part of the game. It's the big hits, that's what you play for, and I'd say the crowd will love it once they see a few as well.
Do you enjoy falling out your chair?
Not so much falling out. It is a good feeling knocking someone over.
Oh, you like knocking other people out?
Definitely, it's sort of that one-on-one, I guess, masculine sort of thing where you just want to take someone else out and put them on the deck.
There's a game for
get one up on them.
It's a game for alpha males, isn't it?
Without a doubt. Look
at that for a big hit. Thomas Hjert for Sweden can't find any way through the Belgian wall there. Just 3 points between the team, 3 goals between the teams at the moment.
Again, falling back to the key. And again, not quick enough. So maybe that's part of the communication issue out there, with the crowd. They're just not able to tell their teammates to get back, get in the key when they do that transition from the press to the key defence.
Andreas Collin with that one. So the lead's back up to 4 goals, but it's about to be cut down to 3 again. And it's the top player for Belgium, Lars Mertens. Even the Belgians in the crowd have got their faces painted.
Yeah, you can see the blocks of colours there. It looks the Aussies may be getting ready for their game later on. They've got a big one against Canada. Already got their seats. Oh no, that'll be the Swedes, is it? All the yellows there on the top of the screen.
I would think the yellows are the Swedes, but like you say,
Aussies are in the next session.
If it's yellow and green, it'll be Aussies. If it's yellow and blue, it's Swedes.
Close intercept there. Got to the Swedish man and just called timeout before that 12 seconds. So you're allowed 4 on-court timeouts during the game, and it's basically get out of jail free cards.
And it's the player on the court that calls the timeout, it's not the coach.
There are 2 other timeouts you can get, and they're coach timeouts, but they have to be at a stoppage of play. So on-court timeouts are players, stoppage of play, you get a coach timeout.
And is it just the captain that can call it, or can any player call it timeout?
Any player on court. If your team has the ball. So you've got to be in possession of the ball, and then any player on that team can call a timeout.
Thomas Hjert making it 19-15. You're listening to Wheelchair Rugby on Paralympic Sport TV. With me, Jeremy Nicholas, who's watching the sport for the first time these games, and Dan Buckingham, who from New Zealand, who was a gold medalist in the Paralympics in Athens.
That's number 12, Ludwig, just came on the court. So Ludwig's been around for a long, long time, but unfortunately first touch of the ball there, just lost the ball, or stripped off his lap. So the Belgian team's fallen back into the key now to try and make up a goal here. So what they'll try and do is stop the Swedish team scoring within the 40 seconds they have to score the goal.
That was a bit too easy, wasn't it?
It did look far too easy.
Kulla this time getting that. Per-Arne Kulla, who's the captain of Sweden, just found his way through. A lovely little flick over the top from Thomas Hjert. Now Belgium will score.
So the main man for Belgium is off, catching a break, Lars. And this is the lineup that's been together for a long, long time for Belgium. Ronnie, Bob, and Ludwig. They've been playing together for 10 plus years. So know each other inside out. It's just being the speed, I guess, of the Swedish team.
Oh, and he couldn't quite control it. Ball pushed through to Stefan Janssen. He couldn't quite make it.
Yeah, just a little bit too much lead on that pass. Janssen couldn't pull it in. You see Janssen there with his lack of arm function as well. So just a 1-pointer. So probably something you don't want to be throwing a long ball to. Definitely not one with that much lead. Peter trying to get the ball away under a lot of heat.
Now we can hear the big hits coming in. Belgium have got the ball.
Again, struggling to get over half though, aren't they? They're making it look like hard work. And again, the ball goes down. finally Ludwig gets it away to Ronnie. And that's where their strength is, right there. That pass, Ronnie knew where he had to be, Ludwig knew he was going to be there, and the pass just went. There was no hesitation. That's where they know each other so well.
And this court they're playing on, it's the same size as a basketball court.
Same dimensions as basketball court, and then you just have the keys at the key areas at the end of the only difference, really.
And the ball itself is size of a volleyball, but it's slightly different texture.
Yeah, it's a bit softer on the texture, and that comes back to the lack of hand function that the players have. So it just gives a bit more of a touch to it, so you can get a bit more of a grip on it. You also see on the players just then when it went in on Bob Van Acker and the sin bin, you could see the gloves that he have are pretty intense, and the tack that's on them. You get a tacky resin that you put into your gloves, and that really helps the ball stick to your hand as well. Is that glistening there?
Quite menacing looking, aren't they? A bit
Yeah.
like Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger type gloves.
Yeah, a little intense.
Yeah. Do you often get your hands whacked from when you're going along? Do you get them caught?
It's probably one of the biggest sort of impact injuries there is your hands. If they they can get smashed between a chair. Not a lot of other injuries beyond that. I think the main injuries people get are the overuse injuries, getting your shoulders to do a lot more work than what they're used to.
So Thomas here makes it 21-17. Bob's out the sin bin, and Belgium have to try and catch up. They're 4 behind. Belgium against Sweden, London 2012 Paralympic Games.
Yeah, this is critical. They need to get some points before the half time. Just calling timeout before you get knocked out of the court there, Peter. But before half time, because Sweden at this stage have the arrow, which means that they have the ball, they have the possession for the next half. So going into the end of this quarter, if Belgium could score last, and what would be even better, just make it confusing if they get a change of arrow, which happens when there's a share possession. So sometimes you'll see a player go on and just put his hand in there and try and hold the ball on the player's lap, and it'll be called a share possession. That will change the arrow as well.
Getting really good shots of the wheelchairs there, and you can see that they're very well used.
Yeah, taking a lot of hits. So a couple of different wheels there as well. You've got the alloy guards, the metallic ones, but then there's the sort of polycarb ones as well, which are more of a plastic.
Should have been a goal, but he couldn't get hold of it.
That's uncharacteristic from the Belgium side. A nice pass from Bob, and Peter just dropped it cold, just straight through the hands.
We can see there the number of turnovers: Sweden 2, Belgium 4.
That's a good long ball. Yeah, someone's in the right position to get it there, and there wasn't too much lead. You just run in and pick it up.
Stefan Janssen getting the points there. So now Sweden 5 ahead.
And another turnover.
Belgian heads are just going down a bit. They're just losing their confidence a little bit, and far too many turnovers now.
Those quick passes that they're so well known for just aren't hitting the mark.
Per Johan Ullman running in for that one. 6-point leads now to Sweden, and we can see which way this game's going.
Starting to blow out a little bit now.
Maybe could the Belgians do some substitutions, maybe?
They haven't really got a lot to go to on the bench. Lars can come back on, but beyond that, they haven't got a lot of other lineups.
Well, they've got one back there through Ronald Verhagen.
There's Ronnie, solid player. And shouting at the ref there for something, not sure what, but definitely not happy with the position he was caught in. Phil Washburn just ignoring it. So Phil is very good ref at explaining to players why he's made a call. So if there's a bit of contention around why something's happening, he'll often just let them know why the call is, the way he sees it. But in that case, I think he just felt it was cut and dried, that there was no problem. Just let it play out.
So Ullman scoring again to make it 24-18 to Sweden.
Belgium working that ball, getting it through the players to get it over half. Playing the passing game that they so often play.
There's no way through. Sweden defending very well.
And that call was, looks like it was a 4 in the key. So as we said earlier, there's only 3 players allowed in the key area, and 4 went in there. So the ref spotted that, and the last one in has to go to the sin bin. And in this case, it's one of the main men. It's PJ, so I'd say Belgium, if they're onto it here, they'll get the ball in and then they'll try and trap him in the bin.
So PJ Ullman in the bin. How long does he stay in the bin?
up to a minute or until the other team scores.
So it's like a power play in ice hockey, and they score there.
So they score there, and the other team goes. A couple of guys go and try to defend him as soon as he comes on. But too quick, too maneuverable. He's free already, free for the inbound.
So they'd actually try and stop him coming onto the field.
Yeah, often you'll see when a player, a big one of the main men like PJ is, if he's in the bin, the team that's on offense will hold up and try and tactically go in and score the goal, while two of the same guys on their team will trap him so that he can't come on to play.
That seems a bit harsh.
That's all the tactics. It's all part of the game. It's quite a tactical game, you know. People see the hits and crashes, and then once they get to know the sport, they see it's like chess on wheels, you know. There's a lot else going on. So another turnover. It's not looking good for Belgium at all. So he went over. What happened there is he went over the line without the ball.
So you've got to have the ball in your possession to go over the line. You can't go over the line. It's not like American football where you catch the ball in the end zone. You've got to run into the end zone. You
have to have the ball and be in possession of it, be in control of it, and cross the line between the two cones.
And PJ Ullman just he can score, but he's just messing about because he wants to score right at the end of the half. I have to say, I haven't fully understood why. Something about arrows and who starts the game, but I still haven't quite understood why they don't score. It's a hard
one to get your head around. And it used to be a lot more of a deal before they brought in the score clock, the 40-second score clock. Teams would hold out for a couple of minutes trying to score last. But the idea is if you score last at the end of the quarter and you have the possession arrow, which means you start the next quarter, it's like getting an extra point because you're scoring, and then you're scoring the next point again, or you should score a point because you've got the ball. And in this game, it doesn't look like it's going to have a huge influence on the game, but in the tight games when it's won or lost by 1 point, they can be the winning or the losing of the game if you score last each quarter.
Okay, I think I've got my head around it. It's like when you play golf, if you won the previous hole, you tee off first.
Right.
Okay.
Something like that. So, and Belgium are going for the last score there, and they're not going to get it again. So it's twice in a row. Sweden scored last, and they've scored, and they've got the position from one quarter when they won the tip-off. Now they'll get the position for the third quarter, and it's like an extra point in there.
Right, it's a very exciting, fast-moving game.
It is, and it's definitely sped up when they brought in the different rules, getting over half and 12 and scoring within 40. And something's happened here. It looks like there's still time on the clock. Ben Wyer's coach has managed to pull something out of the bag.
Looks like he's doing a puppet show, but he's lost his puppets.
I'm not sure what he was trying to signal there.
Okay,
something's going down with the bench. So Phil Washburn, the referee, just checking in with the bench how much time is on the clock. 1 second by the sound of it.
Well, it's what's the point of that? They can't do much in 1 second, can they?
That's how Ben Wyer plays the game. Any little advantage or anything he can look for, he tries and gets. But nothing to be made out of that. Yeah. It put a smile on his face by the looks of it, at least.
He enjoyed that moment.
Yeah, the Swedish team looking very happy after that half. So now they'll have a 5-minute break over the half time, and some change ends as well.
So who would you think would be, if you could pick the finalists from the 8 teams, just run through who would be the fancied teams to get into that final?
Yeah, I think depending on the draw and how it works out, I think the Americans will be there, and then it will probably either be between the Canadians or the Australians. That's why tonight's game is going to be so interesting. Australia taking on Canada.
It's going to be tough for you if it's the Australians, isn't it? And you're not in it.
Yeah. I've been thinking. I've been asked a bit about who I want to win, and I think it kind of goes against my heart a little bit. But I want the Americans to get up, and that's it'll keep the major winners circle pretty tight. Not many teams have won a major. New Zealand's done it, Canada's done it, and the US have done it several times. But other teams to watch for: Japan. They're ranked 3rd in the world, and they actually had 4th in the world after June. They dropped the ranking. But they had a big win over the States in June at the Canada Cup, where the top 8 teams were playing in the tournament. And that was a huge win, really. For them to do that, it sort of sent shockwaves around the world.
And obviously the Great Britain team qualify as hosts, but there'll be at a much lower level, I would imagine, than most of the teams here.
They played the US this morning already, or this afternoon already, and they lost by a good 10, 12 points, I think, wasn't in. Just got a little bit of the game.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they've always been around the sort of 4th, 5th mark. Never been able to break into the medals yet, so I'm sure they would have loved to do it on home soil, but they've got the work cut out for them.
Absolutely. So Sweden have got this game wrapped up, haven't they? But I can't see anything.
I think so. Unfortunately for Belgium, I really like the guys in the Belgian team. They're great guys, but they're just up against it right now. And I think they're going to struggle to come back from this sort of scoreline. 7 points is a huge scoreline in wheelchair rugby to be down by that much at half-time. Just checking out a bit of the Swedish crowd there.
So just got the score up for the Turkey-Great Britain game. Turkey 70, Great Britain 75.
So I haven't been following much of basketball. How's it all playing out?
Yeah, the basketball's going very well. I think we're quite good at that. One of the guys, Matt Byrne, very decent player. But that's something that we've played a lot of in this country. And I think some of the other events where we're qualifying as hosts, for example, like the wheelchair rugby, where is this the first time Great Britain's been in the wheelchair rugby?
No, they've always been up there in terms of they've been at all the Paralympics. We played off against them for the semi-final in Athens, and then they ended up playing off against the Americans for the bronze medal match. So they've been up there, but they were one of the teams that knocked us out of the medals in Beijing. So they're a solid team, but just not. I don't see them as medal potential this time around. No,
and just to keep you upside with the 7-a-side football as well, Great Britain lead the United States 1-0 at half-time in that. But great excitement here with the wheelchair basketball that our boys beat Turkey 75-70. And this is all taking place in the Olympic Park here at London 2012.
Yeah, we've had a chance to see a bit of the Olympic Park with following the Kiwis. We've mainly been at the velodrome and the pool. So just phenomenal crowds and the venues are fantastic. To have so many amazing venues like in one location is unreal.
And there's wheelchair tennis as well on one of our other streams, so you can watch at paralympic.org if you want to have a look at the tennis as well, covering everything, the basketball, the tennis, the 7-a-side football. But we're sticking with the wheelchair rugby here, and 26-19, Sweden leading Belgium. Start the third quarter, 4 quarters of 8.
So Sweden get the first crack at the key defense of Belgium. They're just trying to work it away. You see the two guys on the side are just trying to keep the key spread, so it stops the defenders cheating in. As soon as they cheat in, you see there the offensive player pushes in, creates a block. It's called, similar to American football, I guess. You create a block for the ball carrier to go through and score the goal. There it is again. Just created that space. As soon as Peter cheated in, it was a line.
And PJ it was like a Michael Jackson type moonwalk that he came around there.
He's definitely got some skills. He can make that cheer move.
The Belgian straight back in with their star player.
Yeah, Lars back on the court now, so look to him to make a difference. Whether it could be 7 points difference, I'm not sure. You see there, PJ just held up for a minute and waited for his blocker, number 2, before he got the pass away to Toby. And that's where the lower point players really come into their own. They create the space, and often it's not appreciated by the crowd. I think if they don't know the tactics, those lower points the lower point players doing so much work off the ball, creating space, and there Ronnie does it for Peter, just takes out the defender and gives him a free run through. So the guy at the ball gets to cruise through and look good, while the low point does all the work.
So Lars Mertens is very much the key player, because when he did go off, that's when the points total went from about 3 difference between them to at one point I think it was 8 points difference.
And maybe that's something they've looked at, that maybe Belgium's just looked at their pool and looked where they can pick up games, and maybe they've decided that they don't want to run Lars into the ground with this game. And I'm not sure who they've got up next, but maybe keeping leave a little bit of energy in the tank for the next game.
And PJ Ullman, clearly the key player for Sweden, Per Johan Ullman.
Yep, PJ and Toby there, number 6 as well. Tobias, a great player as well.
Tobias Sandberg wearing the 6. in the yellow of Sweden. It's Sweden in yellow, Belgium in red.
And Ronnie through for another goal. I think we've got another stoppage here, have we?
The clock
might
stopped.
be another equipment. Just waiting to see what the ref signals. No, just waiting for the inbounder to get up to get the ball in play. I think he was at the back of the court and he called inbounder, so maybe he's just trapped there, so took the opportunity to get himself back up court.
So seeing this fantastic crowd here in the atmosphere, and now it's all up and running, how much are you missing being out there?
I was caught in the moment of commentating, but now that you mention it, I would have loved to be out there. You know, all the boys in the World Black team. It was gutting when we lost qualifying last year against the game we had to win was against Japan, and went down by a couple of points there, and it was hard to take without a doubt. And I think, you know, maybe even harder for the guys that haven't been to a Paralympics yet. Gavin Rolton and Mafi Lefano, you know, great players, but it's not given the opportunity yet. So, you know, for us it's rebuilding, looking for another 2-year campaign, so we'll be looking at the World Champs in Denmark in 2014 and trying to build up to that and get back in the mix.
And the Belgians are defending well now and breaking well.
Yeah, they've really picked it up. Still 7 points the difference, but there seems to be a bit of a different feel to them after the half time. Bob Van Acker, the player coach, maybe he's, you know, changed things up or just you know, told them how it is. They've got to step up. This is the Paralympics. This is a big show.
And Sandberg there looked like he was going to pass it to the player on his right. Belgium went to block that, so he went through himself on the left-hand side.
Too much room to move there for Toby, number 6. Belgium getting it in now. Back to Lars. Lars is the man they want the ball to be with. And Ronnie just creating space for him to get around. And too much pace for Tobias or PJ in the end.
He's definitely the star man for Belgium.
Yeah, he's a hard one to catch. I've played against him, and he's got a lot of manoeuvrability as well as speed. And it comes down to that trunk control. You know, he's got full abs and can really move his chair, which a lot of the spinal cord injured guys can't. They can't turn the chair with their body. If that makes sense, they have to use their arms to turn. A good defense there for Belgium as well, forcing the timeout. Sweden were coming close to the 12 seconds that they've got to get over the halfway, so they just use their get out of jail free card, a timeout.
If you're enjoying the wheelchair rugby and you want to put a question to Dan, we are at Paralympic on Twitter. To be honest, the Twitter feed, every time I refresh it, there's so much stuff about Great Britain's winning the basketball. It's hard for the rugby tweets to get through, I think. So if you have tweeted us, then do it again, because I didn't see it go through. Now he's a bit of a dude with his goatee.
A few characters in the sport, definitely without a doubt.
Ricard Lofgren.
I think it comes with all the athletes. You know, a few guys that are all confident, and you know, it's just because you're in a wheelchair doesn't mean you can have a bit of swagger and
absolutely
all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, lots of the Swedish players sort of playing on that Viking image. Got a goatee, and we've got number 6 there, Sandberg, with his long blonde hair tied back.
There's Peter through for another goal. That looked more like their sort of typical game, a lot of passes. Belgium's game's changed a bit with Lars coming up through the ranks. Become more of a ground game where he doesn't look to pass as much as he's got it. But historically, I guess Belgium known for their passing. And Ronnie to get the ball in again. So you're allowed 10 seconds to get the ball in. So Ronnie's sitting there over the baseline waiting for someone to become free. He can't sit there all day. He's got 10 seconds before he has to get the ball to a player.
Just tell me about the officials. How many officials are there? I see one at each end.
Yeah, so you've got two referees for each game, and they kind of work on diagonals. So you'll see them sort of walking around the court, opposite, always trying to be opposite to each other, so that they can see as much action as they can. The backcourt referee will control the inbound, so count down the 10 seconds to get the ball into play, and then count the 12 seconds to get over half. For the 40 seconds for the score clock, there's another clock to watch, so the referees don't have to worry about that one. And then on the sideline, you've got the bench officials, so someone looking after a few people looking after the score on the side and checking it and making sure there's nothing goes obscure. Another turnover there.
Yeah.
So.
Just staying with the referees, it looks quite a perilous position for the refs to be in with these guys in the wheelchairs. Have you ever taken out a ref?
I've run into the odd ref here and there, definitely not on purpose. Perish of thought would never do that, but you know, they've, I guess, yeah, they must be pretty fleet-feeted, because when you're out there, it's you don't really notice them until they blow the whistle. And there's fitness tests they have to go through. They have to be to a certain caliber of fitness to pass and be internationally qualified referees.
So Sweden putting the block in. Reminder, they're only allowed to have 3 inside the key, the orange sort of goal area in front of the line. They have to try and get between those 2 cones to score a goal. And that is a goal.
And this is something teams practice a lot, is the key attack. So you'll spend a lot of time at training camps just practicing getting through those 3 players and working the different plays that you can do to get through.
So what are the different plays you can do to get through 3 players like that?
The main plays you look for is a ground game. So what you do is get 2 players on the outside of the key, 1 each side, to really spread the key, create some alleys to get through and carry the ball through. The other one is called a post play. So what you do there is you get a player, usually a tall player, someone like Lars, or on the Swedish team would be PJ or Toby, number 6 or number 9, and they get in any way they can without the ball, sit there with the arms up and look for a pass and look for the post.
So 5-4, Belgium lead on defensive fouls, but they're losing the game 27-35.
And Sweden just taking their time now. It looks like Belgium's got a player in the bin. Missed that. But it looks like Peter's in the bin. So Tobias just taking his time, just cruise in, just winding down the clock. I guess they're in a situation now where they're in control of the game and already starting to think, this is a tournament, and to win a tournament you really have to be thinking about the bigger picture. So they're looking to save energy now, run down the clock where they can, and start thinking about the next game even.
How tiring is it to play a game of this?
It's intense, and at this level, it's to be able to play a full game it's doable, but to play it across 4 games that it takes 4 or 5 games to win a medal, you don't want to be playing full hard out each game. You've got to be tactical about it. And a little bit of controversy there. He did hit him in front of the axle, but I think Peter just appealing to the ref, was behind the axle, which is an illegal hit. I think he was safe on that one.
Sandberg likes messing about with it before he scores.
Yeah, just taking his time, winding down that clock. Maybe trying to draw a foul as well. A couple of big hits there.
I think
Tobias and PJ, number 6 and number 9, can both hit really hard with the Swedish team.
Yeah, I think the Belgians are getting a bit frustrated now. Might we see a few big hits before the end?
Yeah, I just see Ronnie there. That's uncharacteristic. Never see that. He's doing the signal for a sub, just crossing his arms. He's looking over at the bench, looking at his coach. I think he's getting tired. He wants a sub. Ronnie's one of those guys that just keeps going and going. Great hand cyclist as well, so great amount of fitness, but it's getting worn down. And 12 seconds. Sweden couldn't get over half. Looked like Toby was going to call a timeout there for a minute, but the 12 seconds went before he could call it.
Well, Toby keeps messing about with it, doesn't he? That's the trouble.
Yeah, you don't want to mess about with him in the backcourt.
No. So it's one thing messing about with it when you're trying to score. When you mess about, like he looked completely surprised that anyone would suggest that he'd been messing about and taking too long.
Yeah, it looked a bit too relaxed, didn't he?
For people just joining us, just explain the rule again on how long you have to get the ball out of your own half and how long to score.
So once you get the ball in, you've got 12 seconds to get the ball over halfway, and 40 seconds to score the goal from the time it gets in. And what we're seeing here is a key defense. So teams only allowed 3 players in the key.
And that 40 seconds, there's a countdown clock that you can see. Sometimes they put it up in the little corner of our screen here, but it's behind the goal, or it's probably in more than one place.
Yeah, it's similar to a basketball. In basketball you have the shot clock, 24 seconds up in the corner or up in somewhere along near the score. Oh, and there's the first fall of the game.
And it's Sandberg, and I think that's because the Belgians have been frustrated with Sandberg, and I've been a little bit annoyed by him, to be honest, because he's been taking the mickey a little bit with like they've taken him out deliberately there.
Yeah, so I think it'll be called a foul on Belgium. As he was going in, he was reaching for the ball and put his arm across his arm. But maybe not. Benoit's not happy about it, so it might go Belgian way this time.
He's quite a character, isn't he? He was the guy that was moaning just before half-time he wanted another second on the clock.
Benoit, he's a very passionate coach, known to be thrown out of the odd gym or two for his antics.
Now we see a blue mat coming on there when the player was down. Is that to give a bit of grip?
It's actually to protect the floor. So as you can see, there's chairs rolling around the floor. There's already some black marks on the floor, and we're only a couple of games into the tournament. But when they go down, they can scratch the floor as well. So I guess around the world over the years, you know, it's just looking after the gyms that look after the rugby players. You know, we try to save the floor a bit here and there. Try to.
Well, I hope everyone's enjoying our coverage of the wheelchair rugby. Unfortunately, Twitter's just completely blocked with basketball and tennis and stuff, and one man who's complaining that the wine gums cost more than a pint of beer.
Right, so the priorities there have obviously taken over around the wine cups.
Yeah. So let's.
And I guess without the GB team playing here, maybe not so much coming through from the crowds here and the people watching. But this is streaming out around the world, isn't it?
It is streaming out around the world, yeah. Unfortunately, every time I refresh, there's hundreds and hundreds of tweets, and it's just clogged up with so many different sports. We should have had our own little Twitter name for just the wheelchair rugby, I think. But let's concentrate on the action.
Early in the tournaments, maybe we can get that sorted. And
yeah.
And the opening round here, just getting into the wheelchair rugby, even though we're halfway through the Paralympics. Oh, and a big hit there from Tobias. I think maybe some of his frustration from not getting the call a minute ago.
Yeah, and
taking out on the low pointer.
It was Gunter Meerschout, who was the guy who knocked him over, that he's just gone into. So keep your eye on number 3 for Belgium and number 6 for Sweden. There's a little bit of bad blood there.
And really at this level, you've got to let that stuff go. You know, if a call goes against you, you just got to let it go and move on. Otherwise, you'll get caught up in your own little battle and forget about the game.
And we see elements of ice hockey like the sin bin. Do you ever get elements of ice hockey like the fighting?
I haven't seen a lot of fights really, and I've been playing for a long time. You know, there's a lot of smack talk on the court. A lot of players will talk to each other, and that was something when I was a young player. It really threw me, the sort of things that people would say. And but I guess it just shows, you know, the level and what people put into this and how much they want to win.
I guess you can't say what they'd say.
I think I'll keep that quiet because I'm probably just as bad as everyone else. So if I say something, someone else might let a few stories out about what I've said over the years.
Do you call that sledging?
Sledging, smack talk.
Yeah.
And it can be a shame, I guess, because it is a tight sport where you know a lot of the players off the court, and you know, I've got a lot of really good friends off the court, but on the court, you know, at this level at the Paralympics, the big show, often it's you do what you can to win, and that's high performance sport. You know, these guys put their lives into achieving, and when it comes down to it, the passion comes out, and sometimes the mouth runs away with you.
So Sweden just running down the clock, but they've only got a few seconds if they're going to score. And now they will.
Well timed and well played.
Good
so coming up to the end of the third quarter, just running down, trying to be last to score again.
And great control there, because he only had a little bit of space before he would have knocked the cone.
And I think starting to show their dominance, how calm they were as well. There wasn't, you know, a lot of energy, and they didn't need to be frantic about it. And going for the Hail Mary, it's too far, and that'll be the end of the quarter.
39-31, Sweden lead Belgium in this third quarter of the wheelchair rugby, coming to you live from London 2012, the Paralympic Games. And everyone's going to have a drink. Is it thirsty work?
Yes, very much so. And then these arenas, it can be very hot as well. So you might even see some of the guys will have spray bottles or ice and just getting some water on them and trying to cool down. It's very intense. I mean, physically, you just got to be, your aerobic system has to be so fit as well as working on that anaerobic work and the speed. So it's really all-round sort of fitness that you got to have for the sport. Just getting some of the highlights here as well. The Belgian team is getting hit around a bit. And Ronnie there, one of the main men. And the only man to hit the deck so far. Coach Benoit not happy about it. Probably not happy about anything that does go his way.
And we see the sweepers coming on just to mop up any sweat on the court.
And the boys here, the Belgian boys, just catching the breath. Bob Van Acker there, number 7, is the player coach. So he plays in the team and coaches as well. And the Swedish team looking very relaxed. Bit of a smile there. They know they're in a good position. They're comfortable. You just see some of the gloves that they've got, the taping system they do to protect their arms and hands.
And there's quite a few players there that we've seen that haven't come on yet. For both teams, there's players that haven't been involved in the action yet.
Yeah, I guess given to their main players, Belgium very much sort of got their main men, and then the support ones are a bit of a step down. And if they came on, it would start to blow out. I guess previously, historically, it often used to be that there'd be a main lineup or a main two lineups within a team, and you could run it all game. With the newer rules sort of coming in, 40-second clock, the game is sped up a lot, and it's got a lot more intense, the competition's increased. So teams are having to have more and more lineups, and that's where the Americans have always been strong, and they show that strength now. They've got players that they can just throw at a team, and each lineup is as strong as the last.
So 39-31, we're in the fourth quarter. Belgium have got a long way to catch up. It's 32-39, 7 points behind.
Nicely worked play there, attacking the key. Well, that was the post play. And you're going to get equipment here? No, yep, he got a flat tyre, just heard the blowout on the tyre. So a minute here to change the wheel for the equipment, so someone will just come on and do a quick change.
Okay, what I've done is I've created a hashtag wheelchair rugby. Sorry if I appear to be ignoring you there for a moment, but at least we can get some up here. Warwick Davis is watching the wheelchair rugby at the Paralympics. Brilliant, like a really cool, futuristic, quite brutal sport. Remember Speedball on the Amiga. Do you know Warwick Davis? He's an actor in Great Britain, and he's enjoying the rugby.
Brilliant.
And got the result of that Great Britain game against the USA, 56-54. Great Britain lost.
Right. 56-54. Oh, that was a lot tighter than I thought.
Sorry, 56-44.
56-44, yeah.
56-44, yeah.
Right, yeah. And that was close early on when I seen it. GB were actually up by 1 point for a while, so America just use the lines they have that they can throw at a team and wear them down, I guess.
Gemma on Twitter says wheelchair rugby looks fun.
It is. At the end of the day, it just is. I've played it for a lot of years, and now working full time, it's hard to balance the training and the travelling that you need to be able to do to stay on top. But I just can't get away from it. I love it, and want to keep playing. So hopefully here commentating, but hopefully Rio will be back with the World Blacks competing.
So it's 40-33, Sweden against Belgium. Can you see any way for the Belgians to get back? Not 7 goals.
I don't think so at this stage. I think Sweden are just looking too comfortable. They've brought on some more, another lineup here. They're just working their game. They've got the tournament in mind now. They're working down the clock. They'll play out this quarter and look to the next game, I think. Belgium put on the heat gear, and Sweden had to call one of their timeouts. So they're allowed 4 of those. And I'm not sure what they're up to now. If we get a look over at the clock, we'll see how many timeouts they've got left.
So from seeing Sweden's performance in this, will they be one of the medal contenders, would you think?
I think so. They've got the potential. I haven't picked them to be in either of the playoffs. I'm thinking US and then either Canada or Australia playing off the gold, with Japan up there as the 4th. But I wouldn't rule them out. They've got potential, and I think what they've shown here is just the start of what they can do. I think they can do more than what they've shown here against Belgium. They'll grow as the tournament goes on. A team like US comes in and hits it from the day zero. They'll be on fire from the start. I think Sweden will be a team that'll grow throughout the tournament.
And it's 41-33, Sweden against Belgium, and the US is that really the real nerve centre of wheelchair rugby?
It is. The league they have over there is really strong. A lot of depth. They have, just to get to the nationals, which is the culmination of the US season, you have to go through sectionals and then regionals, then sectionals, just to get to nationals. Then they have 16 teams at nationals playing off for Division 1 and Division 2. To give that perspective, in New Zealand, we just had our nationals and we had 6 teams, and we scraped together 6 teams. So a lot of numbers there in the US, and so they're basically playing, all these tournaments throughout the season that are, up there as close as you can get to international competition, because with that US league as well, each team is allowed an international player. So a lot of team will have what's called an import. So, for example, something I did, I played with a team out of Alabama for a couple of years and go over there and play on their team and get a taste of that intense competition. And not only the best league, they have been the best team historically. They've dominated most tournaments.
Well, Lars Mertens scoring the bulk of the points for Belgium. If he could take the Swedes on his own, I think he would. He's everywhere, that fella.
He is the main man. A lot of speed, a lot of agility. He can really turn that chair well. Oh, that's going to be... No, he just got away with it. That was close to a back over half. Just straddled that line.
Just explain what that means.
So, as we've been talking about, you're allowed 12 seconds to get over half. If you go back over the halfway line, then it's a turnover.
Oh, I see.
And just as he was going over the halfway line, the Belgian guys tried to hit him. And that can be a tactic as well. You sort of lead someone into the halfway and give them that room where they think, oh, can I? And just hit them at the right time and get them back over half.
So on Twitter, John Robertson says good luck to Team Canada. And we've also got people wishing good luck to Joe Delagrave, who's one of the Team USA members.
Yeah, Joe, a fresh player. This will be his first Paralympics. But going to be one of the main US guys for a number of years, I'd say. Replaced one of the great US players was Brian Kirkland, retired after Beijing. And he was one of the dominant players. And as a two-point player, I think Joe's got the potential to be that for the US again.
And Scott on Twitter is just asking to explain the rule of tackling. How brutal can you be with a tackle? What's legal, what's illegal?
Right, so it's full chair-on-chair contact, so you can hit the chair as hard as you can, but it has to be in front of the axle. So you see the axle in the middle of the sort of the larger wheels has to be in front of that. If you hit behind that, the player can lose control pretty easily, and it's not a matter of strength, it's just a matter of control. What you can't do is hit the player. There's no body contact, so you can't go in there reaching for the ball and just rip their arms out of the way.
So Belgium still battling away. They haven't given up yet, but I think they're just making it more respectable. 7 points the difference, 43-36, Sweden leading Belgium at the London 2012 Paralympics.
I think Sweden are into a bit of conserve mode here. They just seem to be working the game, just easing over half. They're not pushing for turnovers on defence as hard as they have been. They're comfortable with the scoreline and they just want to keep it that way and play out the last 5 minutes of this quarter.
Dave on Twitter just asking about the little wheels at the back, the little sort of stabiliser wheels.
Yeah, basically that's what they are, stabilised wheels. You have, they're called anti-tips, so a player can't fall out backwards. So 6 wheels on the chair, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, the caster wheels, the little wheels, and they're just rollerblade wheels. And then you have the main wheels that you push from.
And Helen asking, why is it called wheelchair rugby?
Yeah, originally it was called murder ball when it was first made in Canada in the late 70s. And just, I guess, the nature of the game where you're smashing into each other. And the story goes that they decided that it was time to, if we're going to market this game, we want to make it a bit more respectable, so came up with the game Rugby. And, it is, people often say, how do you score a try, how do you tackle, is when they know about the sport of rugby. And it's quite different to able-bodied rugby, but it's played in the spirit of rugby, is where that came from.
And someone also asking, is it right it's called quad rugby in the States?
It is. Quad rugby is yet another name for the sport. So that's because it's primarily played by quadriplegics or tetraplegics. So quad rugby is the other name of the game.
So 46-37 to Belgium.
Another turnover there by Sweden, just got off Belgium off that last inbound. So and yet another one. So they're doing it easy now, Sweden, and just taking their time.
Yep, the Swedes comfortably in the lead, running down the clock, saving a bit of energy for their next game. So the games come quick and fast in this tournament, don't they, in the pools?
Yes, it'll be. They'll have another game tomorrow. I haven't seen the schedule, so I'm not sure who they've got up next. But basically, with these top 8 teams, there's no givens, so you can't take anyone lightly. So they'll be winding down the clock now, prepping for the next game. Benoit on the sideline, the coach for Sweden, just clapping there in the background. He's doing a little bit of pacing, but looking very relaxed and looking very much in control.
Why don't they try some of the different players out, rather than conserving the energy? Why don't they take off the big players and just give some of the squad players a go? Because they've definitely won the game now.
I think they have to an extent. They've started, can't see PJ or Tobias on there, but you also have to keep in mind the combinations. So if you take off one player, you probably want to keep on a bit more of an experienced player with them. You don't want to have wholesale changes and completely change the lineup and change the tactics. So they'll just start to rotate now, I think. Rotate players rather than have massive changes. It looks like I've got some subs in now, so we're going to see some different players coming on.
We haven't seen a woman yet.
Not yet. There's one female involved in this game. One female player on the Swedish team. But I haven't seen her on court yet. Sorry, on the Belgian team. So female players you're allowed to have an extra half point of classification when you're on court with a female player. So without the female players, you're allowed 8 points. So each player is given a classification point, depending on the amount of function they have. So Belgium to inbound again. Ludwig Budinez with the inbounder. He's a 3-point player, so a lot of hand function. And can't find anyone. And it's a turnover again. He looked to inbound then, and the players were just too blocked off, so he had to hold off, and the ball ended up bouncing twice, which is a straight turnover. And
Ludwig looked a bit frustrated.
He does. Yeah, he looks very frustrated. He knows he's down and there's no way back. But
the lead's up to 10 points.
A great player and wants to keep a bit of pride in there, so he'll be frustrated. He'll push it all the way to the end.
Yeah. 47-37, Sweden against Belgium. We're in the final quarter now. That's 48-37 of this game of the London 2012 Paralympics. Jeremy Nicholas with you with Dan Buckingham, New Zealand gold medalist from the Athens Games.
There's Belgium trying to get over half, really struggling. Lars just looking, he's going to have to get a pass. He's not going to get over in 12 seconds by himself, and there is an outlet there. Passing it up to Ludwig. He should be able to get in. No, he can't. So he's really going to have to work this goal.
It's 20 seconds to score. Gets it inside to Lars, but now he's blocked off.
Stepped up their defense, haven't they?
They have.
They want to finish on a high.
It's almost like they're on a training exercise in defense. They're not going to get through here. Yes, they are.
What a pass. That's what Ludwig's known for. He can pull out passes like that from anywhere. He's an awesome player. Great passing. Been around the game for a long time. Very smart player. So Sweden now maybe just want to finish on a high as well, so they've really stepped it up just to finish. Looking at the next game and maybe sending a message to other teams in the tournament.
So 49-38, Sweden against Belgium.
Yeah, Sweden really pushing hard on defense, trying to finish strong. They had a few minutes there where they were just cruising, I think, just saving a bit of energy, and now we're down to the last just over 2 minutes, and they're going to go hard for the last 2 minutes, I'd say. Really set the stage for the rest of this tournament. Just got a stoppage in play, might be an equipment. So if there's an equipment call, it is equipment. There's another flat tyre. So they've got a minute to get that changed. So the support staff will just come on and change the whole wheel and then fix it on the sideline.
So they need to be quite good to change that in a minute.
Yeah, and it's not a flat wheel. He's actually bent the axle. So someone's hit him hard enough on the side to bend a 1/2-inch aluminium axle. You see, it's not even going around straight. It's tacoed up like a Mexican taco.
So will that player have to come off now?
If they can't get their wheel off within a minute, the player will have to be substituted, and they've got it off just in time. Must be running low. Fresh wheel off, and that other wheel will go in the bin.
That's impressive. He's got a clear wheel that side now, and a black wheel the other side.
So a lot goes into the chairs. They're made of aluminium primarily. Occasionally someone will break out a random titanium chair, but they tend to bounce around a bit much. It's balancing you want it light enough to be able to push fast, but you want a bit of weight to be able to hit and take hits.
And Sweden
and nice block
score
there.
Again. Yeah.
Running block, just like American football, and the ball carrier could just cruise through.
Andreas Collin getting the points.
Struggling to get over half again, Belgium.
Yeah.
Needs an outlet. It's not going to make it. So Sweden, once again, cruising in for another goal.
Yeah, it seems that when the Belgians, certainly for the first quarter and then the first half, were just hanging on, but in this last quarter, we really see Sweden just completely exert their dominance. The Belgians can't get the ball out their own half. and Sweden just scoring for fun, really.
And Belgium has just been pushed the whole way, so they're gonna be feeling this as well. They've got to have to pick themselves up for the next game. And that was a bit better. Again, Ludwig showing his strength to pass, being able to find people out of nowhere, and found Lars on that occasion.
So 51-40, we've got just over a minute left. It's going to be a comfortable win for Sweden.
Yeah, looking promising for the rest of the tournament for Sweden. And a lot of pressure on again. Both their ball carriers trapped in... Oh, that was a turnover. Sorry. So Belgium with one back. Into the last minute of the play. And another turnover. Back to Sweden. And nice pass up. Sweden will run it in. 45 on the clock.
Another goal for PJ, 51-40. The Swedes will be delighted with this, won't they? They've really shown their dominance. Nice, comfortable start for them.
Yeah, great way to start the tournament with a comfortable win. Whereas, you know, some of the other games, I guess, you know, GB had a rough start against the US. And then Canada, Australia later on today, one of those teams will be very disappointed. You know, both of those teams are strong contenders for the gold medal. Strong contenders to push USA for that gold. So one of them is going to be disappointed tonight. They'll still have a chance to go through, but you just want to start on that high. You want to start on that win.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate they've got the strongest team in their groups in their opening match, and like you say, if whoever wins that, then if they should meet later in the tournament, they'll always have the advantage. Yeah. So 52-41, coming to the end of this game. Opening ball game for Sweden and Belgium on the first day of competition at wheelchair rugby here at London 2012.
There we go. They might even go for a last to score here, Belgium, even though they're down on the scoreboard. Just practice it for later in the tournament. Even sometimes teams do, you know, really getting a feel for the court and trying to work this play. It's such a big part of the game. And there's the post player. The post player goes in, gets the pass, scores with 10 seconds on the clock. 10 seconds will be enough to score another goal. And I'd say Sweden, again, looking at the rest of the tournament, they'll have a crack, really trying to work this play.
So can they do it? The icing on the cake. Can they score in 10 seconds? Just under 10 seconds, actually.
It's going to be tight.
Janssen on the ball.
And I don't think they're going to do it.
No, they've run out of time. And that's a shame, but it's 52-42. Sweden winning the opening game in the wheelchair rugby in their pool match, beating Belgium.
Yeah, good start for Sweden. And I think that was a congratulations. Slap on the back.
It was a slap anyway. I don't know what he said. He didn't look especially happy. Yeah, the Belgians pretty fed up about that, but the Swedes very much the strongest team. And there we can see the details. Very, very even. They scored 13 in each of the quarters, look.
And a couple of close quarters in there, 13-12 in the third quarter, but just enough to chip away each quarter. And that second quarter really killed the Belgian team, 13-8.
Good to see the handshakes between the teams. It's a rough game, but it's all friends at bedtime.
Yeah, occasionally a bit of smack talk being even, but more often than not, good game.
So having seen this match, first game for both these teams, has that whet your appetite for the wheelchair rugby now at 2012?
It does. I think I'll put the headphones down now and rush over and catch the Canada-Australia. With Riley back, the best player in the world, I think Australia's going to get up. It's going to be a close one, but I think Australia by 2 or 3.
And just looking at the facilities here at London 2012, it's all set up beautifully for a great tournament, isn't it?
It is. It's a magic stadium in there. It's all you want in a tournament venue. I think the other thing with Canada there, just quickly ran into a couple of players there. Dave Woolsey and Ian Chan both wanted me to say that they're single and available if anyone's watching.
So there we are, Sweden top of the group, Belgium at the bottom, Australia and Canada will play in the next match.
And that'll really set the scene for this group, who wins that next game.
The Belgians look shattered.
Yeah, a few heads down there. Ronnie Verhagen on the far side, just head down. It'll be time to go back, look at the drawing board, probably look at some footage. They'll have a video analyst here and they'll break down the game and look at where it went wrong. But I think it was just from what we're seeing, just too much pressure from Sweden. They're just pushing the whole way.
And what do the players do straight away after a game? Do you want to eat? Do you want to warm down? What happens?
Yeah, both. Straight away I'll be getting food and fluid in, and there will be a warm down. But in a tournament like this, it'll be getting out of your chair as soon as possible as you can, and getting back and just resting, really. And then there'll be a team meeting, no doubt, where they'll look at some footage and reassess. You know, they would have had a plan for winning and a plan for losing, and what's next, and look at the next team. That's all you can do.
So we're just going to leave you with some slow motion action from this pool match, Sweden against Belgium in the wheelchair rugby. It just leaves me, Jeremy Nicholas, to say thank you very much to my guest, Dan Buckingham, New Zealand gold medalist from Athens. Thank you very much, Dan. Really enjoyed your coverage there and educated me about this brilliant sport.
Oh, thanks, Jeremy. It's I would have loved to be here as an athlete, but it's pretty cool being here as a commentator as well. So thanks for guiding me through it, and good to see the rugby underway at the Paralympics in London 2012.
And we'll have a lot more action on Paralympic Sport TV.